Welcome back to my channel. To start off with, I've moisturized and hydrated my face. Now let's jump right into it. Starting off by priming my face, I'm using the Rimmel Stay Matte Primer. I'm applying a generous amount to my skin and just rubbing that in. Then I'm going in with my Becca Evermatte Primer and tapping that into just my problem areas. This primer is great for soaking up the oil rather than blocking it so it doesn't come through your makeup. Next, I'm going to color correct the discoloration that is under my eyes. And I'm using the Cover FX Stick Corrector in yellow. And I'm going to pat that in using my finger so the warmth melts that right into my skin. Then I'm using the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye, and I'm just going to tap that right on top of the yellow corrector I just applied. Now we're going to start off by priming my eye using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. And I'm doing my eyes first because of the bold look that we're going to do on my eyes. Setting that with Classic from the Tartiest Pro palette, I'm just applying that to my eyes with a fluffy crease brush. Moving on to our transition shade, we're going to use the same palette and a fluffy crease brush, applying Innocent into and just above the crease for a smooth transition. Next, dip the same brush into Whimsy to deepen the crease, creating more dimension to my hooded eyes. Moving on to the lids, I'm using the Cranberry color from this e.l.f. Smokey Beauty Book. Using a flat brush, we're going to start packing that onto the lid, getting the intensity that you want. And then to deepen our crease and create a smooth transition from the cranberry and our crease color, I'm going in with a very tapered crease brush using Profesh from that same Pro palette and just mixing those together so that it creates a smooth transition. Now the fun part, creating this smoky look to the eye. I'm taking Punk on a fluffy but tapered crease brush and concentrating that on the outer corner of the eye. This technique is especially great for those like myself who have hooded eyes. Next, I'm adding some warmth for a nice contrast when my eyes are open. Because I have hooded eyes, the color can get lost and we want our eyes to pop no matter what our eye shape is. Going in with ABH Mario Pro palette, I'm using Isabel on a fluffy crease brush and just apply that to the tops of where the transition shade went slightly, bringing it up but don't get crazy. Going back in with Punk on a pencil brush to further define the outer corners of our eyes, then going in with a fluffy crease brush as you see me doing now to blend out the harsh edges for a seamless transition. Onto concealer, I'm using Tarte Shape Tape in light medium and Maybelline Fit Me in light. Going to dab that on and blend it out with, yes, another crease brush. This was my first time using a brush like this to blend out my concealer, and to be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. And as you can see, I did apply a little bit too much on this side of my face. So we're just going to blend, 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 blend until it looks like the other side. I decided to go in a second time with the cranberry color on my lid. It was just not as intense as I wanted it to be. So going in with that same flat brush, packing on that color, and you'll see here in a moment, I'm going to blend out the edges with a small crease brush so there's no harsh lines, so it looks nice and blended. Now on to foundation. I didn't show it here, but I'm wearing Makeup Forever HD foundation stick in color 120. I'm blending that out with a flat, or with an angled flat top kabuki brush, using pressing motions to blend and melt that into the skin. I have a lot of redness on my face, so pressing this into the skin is going to make sure I don't disturb the redness on my face, and so that all of the coverage is even. If you have similar skin to me, then I would suggest using this technique. Moving on to highlight, I'm using the Urban Decay Light Warm Naked Concealer. I'm just mapping out my highlight right now, and I like to move it around my nose because of the redness that I get around there, and pulling it up towards the hairline, and this will help to lift my face and lift my eyes as well. Now taking that same fluffy brush, I'm just going to take some time and blend this out. Blend, 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 blend. This fluffy brush was not the greatest for this. Took more time than I would have liked for the highlight. So for bigger areas, I would suggest a bigger brush or a beauty blender, or more of a powder brush. But we are just gonna work with it, blend it out, blend out that nose, and don't forget to use your fingers. Your fingers are some of your greatest tools when it comes to makeup. And then we're just going to highlight our forehead and our chin really lightly, using that same fluffy brush. Now we're going to set our under eye and all the highlighting that we've done with all the concealer we've used. So I'm using a tapered fluffy brush, and I'm just going to pack that on. For my under eye, I'm going back in with Whimsy from the Pro Palette and a fluffy pencil brush, and applying that just to my lower lash line. Creating a nice, just blended under eye smoke. For my brow highlight, I'm using Glam from the same palette, using a very light amount, just enough to give that subtle glow underneath the brow, like so. To finish off this eye look, we're going to glam it up by adding some glitter. I'm going to be using Hello Sunshine from Lit Cosmetics and using Sally's glitter adhesive. I ran out of my Lit Cosmetics glitter adhesive. I highly recommend the Lit adhesive. If you have it, definitely use it. Quickly packing the glitter on my lids without spreading it out too far. I still want to see the color that I put on my lid. I just want to add a little sparkle. Going back in with Glam from the Pro Palette and using a pencil brush, go ahead and tap that into the inner corners of your eyes to open them up. Moving on to contour, using ABH Anastasia Beverly Hills contouring stick in Fawn and blending it out with a stippling brush for a more natural application. Then I'm going in with Subconscious from the Kat Von D Shade and Light contouring palette, using the same brush to set the cream we just blended out and further defining our contour a little bit more. Now using that same contour powder and brush, applying it onto my nose. This is only necessary if you feel you need it or want it. It's not for everyone. If you like your nose without contour, feel free to skip this step. Blend it out with your fingers so there's no harsh lines. To bring some warmth back into my face, I'm going in with a blush brush and Benefit's Hoola bronzer and applying it to the highest points of my face. So to your forehead, the tops of your cheekbones and your jawline. If you're fair skinned, be careful with this as it can get a little bit too warm, but they are coming out with a new bronzer line that's for lighter skin tones. Now using Milani Baked powder blush in Bellissimo Bronze, applying with a small tapered blush brush, applied to the tops of my a warm bronzy glow, blending it into the bronzer and the contour. Using Inglot number 77 gel liner and a angled brush, I'm going to very carefully apply my liner and try to make them as even as possible. I like to apply a very thin line on my lid because of my hooded eyes. If I apply it too thick, the wing can look like a check mark, and it can also take away from my lid space that I have. So as you can see, I'm going very carefully on this eye. This is the eye that I'm not so great at. So take your time when you're doing your eyeliner. Bring it in nice and slow until you get the look that you're going for, and then you can apply a little bit more pressure. And again, lining a thin line, especially near the inner corner, to give that cat eye effect. I like to clean up the edges of my wing with a little bit of liquid liner, and for this I'm going to be using L'Oreal's Felt Tip Liner to just clean up and sharpen up that wing and clean up that top edge, and do the same to the other side. Now to highlight, I'm using the Anastasia Glow Kit in That Glow. As you can see, I'm using almost all of the colors because I just couldn't pick one over the other. Using Dripping Gold, Bubbly, and Sunburst on a fan brush, applying that to the tops of my cheekbones, just above and a little bit on top of our blush for that pop of glow that we all love and adore. And of course, you cannot forget the tip of your nose and above your brow for that all-rounded, fresh, dewy, youthful glow. And bam, there it is. Onto the lips. Disclaimer, at the time I was not aware of how chapped my lips were when filming this, so please excuse them. Using the Anastasia Liquid Lippy in Crush, I'm applying that to my lips in an overdrawn fashion because that's how I do. Now before that dries, I'm lining them with MAC Spice liner. I like to do this after if I want a really defined look to my lips without the Liquid Lippy being too opaque if I was to apply it over top. And once that dries, I tap on a little bit of gloss. I used Motive's Lip Gloss in Glam. This does take away from the longevity of the lipstick. However, I like how comfortable it is versus being too dry. And then just clean up your edges with any concealer or foundation you have around you. And last but absolutely not least is mascara, because I almost forgot, like I always do. I tend to not wear falsies unless I'm going to a special event. For mascara, I'm using the Maybelline Big Shot Mascara, and I'm in love with this mascara. It has replaced my L'Oreal Voluminous. For now, it just performs seamlessly. And this is the finished look. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching and returning. If you're new and enjoyed this tutorial, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Check me out on my social media accounts if you so desire. Those will be linked below. Until next time, my loves, hugs, and lipstick.